Super excited to be on here. Let me just adjust my phone. Super excited to be on here answering your questions. So if you have any questions, make sure you write them in the comment section. Let's start out by talking about, and if you watch me and any of my videos here on YouTube, you know this is one of my favorite topics, is single strategy and the idea of when your opponent comes to the net. It was funny. I make this video or this topic often, and I had someone in the comment section say, Ryan, you've made a video on this exact topic at least 6 times. And I said, you're right. You're right. I have made a video on this exact topic 6 times. And really, it was like 50 times, but he only noticed 6 of them. But I can tell you, if you know what to do when your opponent comes to the net in singles, you will be a master at beating players who are better than you. Let's check this out. By the way, yes, I am live. I got 7 people here at the moment. So please smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And let's talk about this. Your opponent comes to the net, right? Feel free to ask any questions. We're going to be on here for probably about an hour. It's going to be a blast. So stick with me. This is going to be great. Your opponent's coming to the net. And really, I should put them around the service line, because when your opponent comes in, when you're contacting the ball, they'll be around the service line by the time you're hitting the ball. And that's important because it's actually going to guide us in the correct strategy that we're going to use. So you have to understand that when your opponent's coming to the net, they're not Federer or Serena or McEnroe or Navratilova. You're dealing with Bob from HR, or Susan, the school teacher. That's who you're dealing with. You're not dealing with a pro tennis player. And because of that, it's important that you don't treat them like they're a pro tennis player. And what I mean by that is you have a decision to make when your opponent comes to the net. When your opponent comes to the net, you can either involve them in the point or you can avoid them. Those are the two choices. You're either going to avoid them by trying to hit rip a down the line pass or shape a cross court pass, or you're going to try to hit it over their head and make it land right on the baseline. That's avoiding your opponent. But then there's a better choice, and that is involving them in the point. And when your opponent comes to the net and you want to involve them in the point, think of the extremes as a way to guide you in the correct shots. And the extremes are low or really high. So since your opponent is around the service line, when they're coming up, generally there is going to be a lot of room then in front of them to dip that ball low and to get them to volley from below net level. Thank you so much. I got 12 of you here. I got 1 like. So hopefully we get that like number up. The goal is when your opponent comes to the net on you, that their first shot is a low volley. 50% of the time, they're going to screw that up for multiple reasons. The other 50% of the time, they're volleying up. So if you hit the ball to their feet, now they have to hit the ball up. So what you should do immediately is step inside the baseline. When your opponent comes to the net in singles, don't crush the ball. Just hit it with a little spin and allow gravity to bring the ball below net level, and then step inside the baseline. They will typically hit it short. Then you go for the pass. And what I would recommend highly is that let's go. Let's go. Hey, thanks, Mikey VR. Thanks so much, buddy. By the way, it's Mikey VR. He's got a great YouTube channel. Everyone should check that out. All right. So the goal here is when you're going to hit a passing shot, that you hit the passing shot down the line. Let's put this all together so we can really apply this to our game. When we are inside the baseline, the down the line passing shot is far superior than the cross court. The reason is by this time, your opponent has now closed off the net. And if you're inside the baseline, the cross court pass, you have to shape it with spin and touch and real deft control. You have to get that ball to land and dip in the service box in order to leave at an angle, because if you hit the ball deep, it actually goes through the opponent. See, when you're inside the baseline, the down the line pass can land short, medium, or deep. If you hit cross court, then you can only make the ball land short. Now, I am not a pro tennis player. I never tell you that I am a pro tennis player. I benchmarked at a 5.0, so I got benchmarked by the USTA, which means I wasn't allowed to appeal it, which means basically that's your level. And if you want to play any leagues, it's got to be a 5.0 league, right? I am not a pro tennis player, but I can tell you that this dipped shot, even for me, is a very difficult shot to hit. It is so much easier to go for the pass down the line. Another reason why it's easier is because your opponent usually is not bisecting where you can hit the ball. They should be. They should be slightly on the same side of the court as where you're on, but that's typically not where they stand. I'm just speaking from 27 years of coaching and 41 years of playing experience. Usually, rec players stand too much in the middle, which further covers the cross court and leaves the down the line wide open. So that's one option you have when your opponent comes to the net in singles. You're trying to get them to volley from below net level. They have to volley up. Half the time they screw it up. The other half they hit short. You come in and you pass down the line. But there's another choice. And this is a choice that is often not even thought of. Hitting low to our opponent's feet, like sometimes people wrestle with it, like, oh, should I go for that shot or should I not go for that shot? How about lobbing cross court? That's a great choice. But Richard, there's an even better one: super, super high lobs. The high lob is a shot that your opponent, I'm going to say it, you should never say never. The super high lob is the shot that your opponent never practices hitting overheads off of. They never practice, right? As that ball drops 9.8 meters per second, and that's the acceleration due to gravity, it is really tough to handle. And that ball accelerates through the window of opportunity, is very tough to handle. But there's another shot they don't practice. They don't practice hitting bounce overheads. It is a month doesn't go by on my channel that I get a comment where someone has watched one of my 1,500 YouTube videos here on 2 Minute Tennis channel, where I recommend that you lob the ball super high. And I always get, someone in their mom's basement typing away at me, getting mad at me because they say something like, "Oh, Ryan, if I were to play you, I would crush that because I would just let the ball bounce and then I would just destroy that ball." And I always say, "Oh, okay, thanks. Thanks for watching." Why get into a conversation with people like that? Well, I probably should because it would help the algorithm. But what I really want to say is, when was the last time you actually practiced that? When was the last time you took a lesson and you had the pro just sky the ball way up into the air and then you practiced a bounce overhead while moving backward and adjusting? It is so difficult. The pros make it look easy. The point here is when your opponent comes to the net, we want to force your opponent into an error. See, forcing an error is the most valuable way to win a point. There are three ways to win a point. You can hit a winner. That just means you make the ball bounce twice, right? Anytime you hit the ball and it bounces twice, that's the definition of a winner. You can just wait for your opponent to miss, right? It's called an unforced error. And you just cross your fingers and you hope your opponent has a bad day that day. Or you can force an error. And that is what you want to do. The forced error is repeatable, it's demoralizing to the opponent, and they can't stop you, right? You can try to crush winners and skip it off the line all day long, but even the pros only hit winners about 25% of the time. So, you can't rely on that as your main source of points. We want to force errors. So when your opponent comes to the net in singles, you want to hit low to their feet and step inside the court and then hit the pass down the line, or hit super high and let them screw up the overhead. Let's talk about one more idea. I do see some questions coming up, which I absolutely love, and we're going to get to. I got one more tip, and we're going to go over to doubles. But I'm doing something special for this live stream. If you go into the description, you are going to see the first line in the description. And by the way, if you're watching this as the recording, sorry, it's not going to be live. This sale, it's a BOGO sale, buy one, get one free sale. I am running a buy one, get one free Zoom private lesson sale. This is where you can send me a video of your match and I'll sit down and I will watch your match and I'll write notes and I'll make timelines and I'll screen record points that I want you to watch. And then I'll edit them all together. And then you and I meet live on Zoom and I share my screen and you're sitting there and you're at home in your kitchen and you and I are talking. I'm getting to know you and your game. And then up on your computer monitor pops your match and I start drawing on the screen just like I do on my YouTube videos, right? And I'm showing you where you should have hit the ball and where you should have been standing and the footwork you need to use and the shot selection. They are the most amazing tennis lesson, even compared to on court. They're 10 times better than on court lessons. And you can get them right now instead of $150 each, you can get two for $150. And you can get them in multiples of either one, three, six, I'm sorry, two, 6, 12, and 24, actually, because I usually sell them for 1, 3, 6, and 12. So I doubled them, right? So it's BOGO. Click the link in the description. It's the first link on the first line. And then grab your lessons. But you have until this live stream ends, which is in about 50 minutes from now. All right. All right. Let's talk double strategy. So if you ever wanted me to analyze your serve and talk to you about how you can hit better topspin and more consistent backhand, or you want me to analyze your matches, that's what you want. The Zoom private lesson, first line, you can get the BOGO sale while this sale is going on during this live stream, but it's only during the live stream. If you're watching the recording, by the way, and you click the link, you're not going to be able to get the sale. All right, let's talk about double strategy and specifically where you should volley. So when you're hitting a volley in doubles, it's important to understand that the height you contact determines where you're going to aim. Okay? So let's take this player right here. Let's say this player is hitting a volley and they have a high ball. And thanks for the question. Got to go to bed now. Oh my gosh. It is so, B-Man, what's up? Richard, it is so late for you. Get to bed. Thanks so much, Richard. Get to bed. It's more important that you get your beauty sleep than it is to listen to me. So if the returner's partner has a high, so Richard, thanks for hopping in. I appreciate it. And thanks for the support, buddy. When you get a high volley in doubles, you are going to pick a different target than if you have a low volley. If you have a high volley, that's when we're looking to end the point. When you have a low volley, that is when we are looking to prolong the point. And how do we do that? Good question. I'll show you. When you're at the net and you have a high volley, you are looking to blast it at the legs or at the feet or at the shins of the opposing net player. Net players on high balls, anything that's above net level, bam, right at their legs. If you have a low volley, you don't want to pop it up to the net player because then they can nail it at you. So you're going to hit it to the side of the court where the back player is. You can hit it short if you want, you can hit it deep. You just have to avoid this player. Most volleys we hit in doubles are above net level because there's more room up here than down here. So most of the volleys we're going to hit at the net are going to be somewhere above net level. We love them up here, right? We love this ball that we can just crush. We are looking to hit it at the legs of the net player. Now, some players think, oh, well, should I hit it cross court? Should I hit it down the line? Like I get people in the comment section of my videos say, Ryan, are you saying that when we get a low volley, we should hit it cross court? Or when we get a high volley, we hit it down the line? You don't want to think that way. In doubles, you want to know which player to hit toward. Doubles is not a game of avoid the opponents. When you avoid opponents, you end up avoiding the court. They've doubled the number of people compared to singles, but they didn't double the size of the court. So what you need to do is actually hit to the correct person rather than looking for open space or thinking cross court versus down the line. Because when you're the returner and you get a high ball, it's down the line. But if you're the returner's partner and you get a high ball, it's cross court because high balls go to the net person, low balls go to the back player or to their half of the court. So that's the way you want to think. All right, let's see what questions we have here. Hit the ball to the pigeon. I like it. That's a poker reference. All right, let's see here. Here's a question. Which motion is best for producing topspin? I've seen a motion where there is a steep low to high, where the racket head is more vertical, or slightly rolling over the ball. No, don't roll over the ball. First off, you cannot roll over the ball. All right, like understand something. If a coach tells you to roll over the ball, run as fast as you can, like in the other direction, away from them. So let's understand something. The idea of rolling over the ball for topspin, it's this idea right here. Okay, what we have to know is how long the ball is touching the strings. The ball is only touching the strings for 4 milliseconds. All right. Thanks, B man. And I have an idea of possibly who one of those coaches what their name is based on like this idea. So the idea is really simple. You do not want to make this move. Realize something. If you're doing this, the ball goes where your strings point. Basically, it's not exactly because there's incidence and reflection, there's drag and compression and your like friction. But let's just say, for simplicity's sake, that the ball goes where your strings point. Okay. Well, if you're rolling over the ball, so look at this. Look at my racket is straight up and down. Now look at my racket pointing straight at the ground. So my racket is vertical and now my racket's horizontal. How many degrees am I rolling the racket? I'm rolling the racket 90 degrees from here to here. Well, think of degrees as directions your strings point. So you're telling me you're going to point your strings in 90 different directions. 90 degrees is basically like 360 is you could basically just say is 360 directions for simplicity's sake. Yet somehow you're going to make this move and time it 0.004 milliseconds, 0.004 seconds, that somehow you're going to time it right and the ball's going to go in. The ball isn't on the strings long enough that it can touch your strings. You turn the racket and then the ball leaves. That's not how it works. You are going to get a lot more spin going low to high or worrying about the, I should say, and or having the racket go from below your hand to above your hand. But what you want to do when you're hitting is keep the angle of the racket as like the same or similar as possible. So before you hit, during the hit, and after you hit, the strings are facing the same direction. Like imagine if I took my kids miniature golfing, right? Imagine if I go miniature golfing with my kids and my wife, and I put the ball down and I want to putt over here, right? Here's the cup. Ready? I'm going to use a birthday hat. I'm going to use a birthday hat and try to putt the ball into the cup. Let's see if I can do this with just a simple putt. You ready? Let's see if I can do this. I think you can see that. Yeah. You ready? Let's see if I can do this. All right, I did it. Now, check this out. This time, as I'm going to putt, as the ball's about to hit the ball, I'm going to spin the putter. I'm going to spin it. Let's see if I can do it. Well, that didn't work. You realize when you're doing this, it's the equivalent of spinning a putter as you're putting and thinking that somehow it's going to be at the exact right angle for it to go in. That's not what you want. We go low to high and we try to keep the angle of the racket face the same. We are not rolling over the ball. If you want to make this move and deviate this way to help increase the racket speed, even slight bend of the elbow, lifting from the shoulder, if you can get away with it, good for you. But spin is created when your strings face in one direction and your racket travels in a different direction. That is how spin is created. And I'll show you. I think there was a foam ball somewhere. Why am I missing? Here we go. It's actually under my chair. What is it doing under here? So look at this. This is how spin is created. Spin is created when your strings face in one direction and your racket travels in a different direction. In fact, watch. When this ball hits the ground, it's going to travel toward the strategy board. Watch. Because the ball curves the opposite direction you swing. Always. The ball curves the opposite direction you swing. You swing up, the ball curves down. You swing across like this, the ball curves that way. It always curves the opposite direction you swing if your strings are facing where you want the ball to go. So yeah, don't make this move. If you do this, you will. I mean, to me, that sounds like creating your own customer. It's like it's like a scissors company making band-aids. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to make you worse so that you keep coming back for lessons. I don't know, but yeah, you don't want to make that move. All right, let's see you. Oh, Lewis, why don't we see more pro commentators on TV? Wouldn't I love to do that? Analyzing points and strategies like you and other YouTubers. What do you think? Lewis, I'll tell you why. Because, oh, did somebody say, hey, Ryan? Hey, Stargazer, what's up? What's up? Thanks for being here. One thing, I know this is going to sound terrible, but Most of the commenters don't know much. They could, like, can I be very honest with you? Most, and you don't want them, by the way, because usually the commenters are former pros. The last thing you want is to be very analytical when you're a pro. Like, have you ever watched videos of pros trying to explain grips and swings? They have no idea what they're talking about. Not it's and like I actually am someone who when I watch like a movie or TV, I get secondhand embarrassment. There are videos. I'm not going to say who they are. Trust me, they're like top 10 famous tennis players of all time on YouTube explaining grips, explaining technique, explaining how to serve. I every so often I try to go back and watch the video, and it is the secondhand embarrassment is so bad that I can't get through the video. And so I know how to breathe, but I don't know how lungs work. Like if I had to go to a medical school and give a lecture, a 2 hour lecture on how lungs work, and my qualifications are, I mean, I went to the doctors and they listened to my chest and they said my breathing is great. So I'm going to talk like that's not how it works. Just because you can hit a forehand doesn't mean you know how to hit a forehand, right? Like imagine if somebody said, I want you to tell me how you tie your shoes. I have no idea how I tie my shoes. I don't know what my ring finger does on my right hand, what my pinky finger does on my left hand. I don't even know what my thumbs do. I could I want to use a different word, but there might be kids here. I could baloney my way. You know what other B word I want to say? I could baloney my way through it, but I would actually have to video it. Even though I've been able to tie my shoes since I was 4, I am 46. I have no idea how I tie my shoes. Yet somebody could walk up to me and say, "Hey, how do you tie your shoes?" I'd be like, I don't know. Let me go get my shoes. I can't even explain it. I have no idea how I do it." Just because somebody can do something doesn't mean they know what they do, nor do they can they even explain it. And I don't even think it's the latter. Like, I don't think it's that, well, they just have a hard time explaining it. No, if you really know something, you can explain it. Like, I come live here and I'm sorry, I freaking know what I'm talking about. Like, you could see, if I didn't know what I was talking about, you would easily be able to see through me and you'd be like, unsubscribe. Like you can just tell, right? You can just tell. So I think that's why commentators, there's, I find watching tennis so boring from the commentator standpoint. I'd rather just turn it off. You don't get anything. They never say that anything they did was incorrect, right? Like, oh, they got away with that one because if you hit the ball there, they should have telestration. Like, but they never do it. It's such a shame. That's a great question, and okay, kind of makes sense. Yet I would still think that pro commentators would diagram plays and points like John Madden used to do. Of course, exactly. Yeah, the telestration. Yeah, the way I do. Well, that's what my. By the way, that's what my Zoom lessons are. For all of you who just popped in, oh look at that, we're up to 11 likes. Amazing. Thank you so much. Let's see if in the next minute we can get that to 20. Thank you so much. Um, but the in the first line in the description, I am running a sale during this live stream. If you want to meet one on one live on Zoom with me, I see you, you see me, we're talking, I'm getting to know you, and you send me a video of your serve or your forehand or your backhand, or you send me a match on SwingVision if you want to become friends on SwingVision with me, and I'll diagram your match and talk to you about ways you can improve. Opponents who you struggle to beat, I'll teach you how to beat them. I'll teach you your footwork, shot selection, court positioning, the strategies and tactics that work well with what I see as you as the player, and how you can expose the weaknesses of your opponent. I'm running a buy one, get one free Zoom private lesson sale. These are the best lessons you will ever take, guaranteed. They are 10 times better than any in-person lesson. And you, by the way, you don't have to app on the iPhone with SwingVision, the app on iPhone. Yeah, but you don't have to have SwingVision. You can just send me a video of any like any video that you have of you playing. But instead of $150 for one lesson, you now get two for the price of one. Click the link, but the sale ends when this live stream ends, which is in about 35 minutes. All right, let's keep going here. Ryan, I'm a girl who plays I like how you said who plays, right? Instead of that plays. I'm a girl who plays, love it. In a 4-0 men's doubles group, love it. Some hard net balls come to me. Sometimes I frame my backhand volley. Any ideas on holding the racket to prevent that? Carol, amazing question. Okay, fastballs coming to the backhand. Let's talk first the ready position. Carol, most players don't have a ready position. They have a starting position, they have a waiting position, they have a lazy position. If you don't have a ready position, then you're simply not ready. You need to have a ridiculously great ready position. Okay. What does that entail? Get the racket away from you, stick your elbows out, because when your elbows are in, then you take back swings. And when your elbows out, your racket's a wall and you can handle pace. So get your elbows out. Imagine your racket smells. Keep it away from you, right? Have it below your eyesight. Don't have the racket like this. I call this rocking the baby. Don't rock a baby to sleep. Have your racket up, elbows out. And let me give you three incredible tips, Carol, that are going to help you hit better backhands the next time you're in that 4-0 men's doubles group. The first one is give yourself permission to make a grip change. The worst piece of advice in all of tennis is that you have to use one grip on the volleys. It is the single most destructive piece of advice. And it is what causes 3-0s, 3-5s, 4-0s, sometimes even 4-5s to not like their backhand volley. If you like your forehand volley more than your backhand volley, then take your top and if you use a one grip system and your volleys are amazing, don't change anything. I'm saying give yourself permission to change the grip. Take your top hand and adjust the grip a little bit more backhand like to help square up the racket. So many players on their forehand volley, they hit forward on their forehand volley, but then chop on the backhand volley. And if that's you, Carol, if you find yourself always chopping on the backhand volley, and all that does is the ball's coming and you set the racket here and you're chopping. Like, it's not easy to time hitting the sweet spot. It's much easier to time hitting the ball if your racket's going forward, which is how people hit their forehand volley. But you watch the pros, they go forward and then they chop because those players are using the one grip system, which doesn't work in rec tennis. So when you turn like you're doing a pepper grinder, like you're grinding pepper, you want to turn your top hand to help change the grip. So you turn the grip by actually turning your palms away. That makes for a fast grip change. And now the racket's more like a wall and it's much stronger. You get somebody hitting the ball really hard and you've got the grip that you use for your forehand volley, and now you're trying to hit the backhand volley, it is not going to be comfortable. So make the grip change. Now, the rebuttal to that is people say, yeah, but there's not enough time to change the grip. Baloney. First off, anybody who tells me there's not enough time to change the grip on volleys has never tried it because there is not one human being on the face of the earth who would ever try it and say there's not enough time. They might say they don't like it, but they'll never say there's not enough time. They'll say, oh, I guess there is enough time, but it's just too complicated. Okay, we can have that discussion. But if you're a coach, please stop telling your students that there's not enough time to change the grip because it's simply not true and you're just exposing yourself for never trying it. Now, here's another piece of advice. Remember, we talked about the elbows being out when you're in the ready position? This is critical, Carol, because when you turn, you want to use, if you're right handed, this left elbow to help support the racket. If your elbow drops, then the racket opens. If your elbow's up, then your racket's more like a wall. And then your racket, like a wall, you can take the wall to the ball rather than having the racket open and then you got to chop and slice and it's easy to hit the frame and the ball pops up and it just feels super weak. That's why I want your elbows out in the ready position. I always tell my students while I'm feeding them balls, I always tell them I should be able to smell your armpits, right? So make sure while you're playing with the guys, they can all smell your armpits. All right, Carol? The last piece of advice I've got for you is to place your hand lower than the ball. Carol, I bet you've heard coaches say, and I've said it a million times. Well, I used to say it a million times, and now I don't say it anymore because there's a better way to think of it. You've probably heard coaches say, keep your racket head up, right? But there's actually a better way to think of it. It's not keep your racket head up, it's keep your hand down. Because if you hit the ball, let's say you hit the ball like this. If you go, let's say you're doing a drill. Let's say you're doing a Tuesday morning drop-in drill at your tennis club, right? And you drop in, you're like, "Hey guys, hey, thanks for coming," and their coach is feeding balls, and you go in and you hit a backhand volley like this. What's the coach going to tell you? Keep your racket head up. Well, guess what? If the ball hit the center of your strings, if you had put the racket head up, you would have missed the ball. The problem isn't that your racket head wasn't up, it's that your hand wasn't down. The fix for having a stronger wrist at contact is to keep your hand below the contact point. So let's say you're coming in for a volley, you're coming in, you split step, your elbows are out, the ball comes in and you change the grip, and it takes less time to change the grip than it does to even put the racket in the way of the ball. So you change the grip slightly to square up the racket, but then you're going to volley, and look, my hand is lower than the ball. That's what naturally allows for the racket head to be up. And you hear coaches say V for volley. Yeah, V for volley. That's a strong wrist position. But you only get that if your hand is below contact. If your hand is level to contact or above contact, then you don't have that wrist position that's strong. So have a great ready position. Feel free to change the grip on the backhand just a little bit, just like when you hit real backhands, you change the grip to strengthen it. And then when you set the racket, have your back elbow up and have your hand below contact. That's really going to help you, Carol. I'm glad that you asked that question. If you haven't already, please hit that like button, right? Please hit that. I pour my heart and soul into these classes, so it would mean the world to me if you hit that like button and just let me know that you appreciate this. If you have a question, make sure you write it in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notifications. That way you know whenever I put up a new video. And if you would like me to personally teach you live on Zoom, in fact, this past week, I had a guy in Dallas, Texas. I'm near Philadelphia. I had a guy in Dallas, Texas, with his ball machine, and he was live hitting backhands. And I'm here in my basement. I'm teaching him. He was coming up to his phone. He had me on a tripod. He's coming up. He had an earbud, and he's hitting on the ball machine. And we were working on his one-handed backhand, flattening it out, spinning it, slice, and we did a backhand lesson for 50 minutes. And he was in Dallas, and I'm in Pennsylvania. It was beautiful. You don't have to do it that way. In fact, rarely are my lessons like that. But if you want me to analyze your matches, analyze your serve. Today, I had a lesson with a guy in Portugal. We did a lesson on his serve. There are so many different things that you can do with Zoom. And it's so much more beneficial because it's recorded. You get the recording of it and the transcript of the notes afterward. It's absolutely the best lesson that you'll ever take. And I'm doing a buy one, get one free sale, but only for the next half hour. So I'm going to finish this around 8:30 New York City time, which is in about 30 minutes. So if you want me to personally teach you, now is the time to do it because you're going to get 2 lessons for the price of 1. All right, let's see what questions we have here. Cool, Ryan, I rotate that grip just a tad, and you're right on the elbow and needs to be lower. Awesome, Carol. Make sure you keep me posted. So at some point, Carol, when you play with those guys, I want you to go onto YouTube, just pick any one of my random videos and just comment below it and just say, "Hey, Ryan, I tried it, and this didn't work so well, but this was great," and whatever. Like, be honest. Let me know how it worked. You can also, if you want, just send me an email, ryan@2minutetennis.net, like tennisnet, 2minutetennis.net. Okay, send me an email, ryan@2minutetennis.net, and let me know how it goes. All right, let's see here. I was just about to watch a video of you explaining this. Awesome. 4-0 male player. What's up, Val? Let's go here. 4-0 male player here. I have clear tactics in singles when neutral or defensive. However, when I finally get that short ball, I'm hesitant on how to best go on offense. Suggestions. Suggestions? That's my middle name. Suggestions are my middle name. Okay, let's talk about this. This is so exciting. All right. So you get a short ball. And that's what we want, by the way. Let's talk some basics in single strategy. Do you know that the pros lose more points than they win when they stay behind the baseline? Let's say you watch a match of Alcaraz, but it's edited. And all you see are the points where Alcaraz stays behind the baseline the entire time. Okay? Let's say it's it's a 3 hour match, and they condense it down to like 4 minutes, and it's just a compilation, one after the other, of points where he never stepped inside the baseline. He only stayed behind the baseline. Realized that he would have lost more than 50% of those points. Like in Federer's career, when he stayed behind the baseline, he only won 47% of the points. Same with Serena. You don't win from behind the baseline. So this question from Val about stepping inside the court and wanting to attack, it is critical, because this is where you win. You win up here and you put a lot of pressure on your opponent. So the first thing you want to understand, Val, is that when you step inside the court, you must have an air target. So, Val, answer this question for me, or you can just answer it to yourself. Do you purposely aim low over the net when you step inside the court? And I'm not saying do you know to do that while we're talking here. I'm talking about in the heat of the moment. Is it one of your shot understandings? Like it's something in the recipe that you add to the shot? Because if when you step inside the court and you don't pick an air target, how high you're trying to make that ball cross over the net, then it's like trying to bake banana bread without bananas. Like you're leaving out an ingredient that is so critical to the whole process that it's not going to end well. See, when you are behind the baseline, you want to aim higher over the net. When you're in front of the baseline, you want to aim lower over the net. So that's the first thing. And when you do that, you know what it gives you permission to do, Val? It gives you permission to accelerate the racket. Because if you don't know the height you're about to hit over the net, then you might be afraid to really step on the gas. Because if you hit it too high, the ball's going to go long. So you've got to practice with a buddy, with a coach. You step inside the court. I call it like hit the pigeons sitting on a net, right? You got a bunch of birds sitting on the net and you're just picking them off, right? That's kind of the idea. You're trying to hit low over the net. I have nothing against birds, but it's just a visual. And you're hitting the ball low over the net. One thing, when I used to work at the tennis club here outside Philly, I worked there for 24 years, and then I left. I'm still in great standing with them. I visit all the time, and they're great people. I love that. I love that club. But I would put a balloon above the net with a really long string, and I would vary the height of the helium balloon. It was an indoor facility, so there's no wind. It was great. And the ball would just be floating at different heights, and I would have my students try to hit the balloon. And it gave them the idea of having an air target. And if they were way behind the baseline, I let the balloon fly higher. And if they stepped inside the baseline, we practiced those. I would bring the balloon very close to the net. The next idea is you have to make sure that you hit the ball to the side of the opponent where they tend to hit higher over the net. You can't just think hit to the weakness, because sometimes their weakness is a chippy shot that isn't that strong, but especially if it's their backhand and they tend to chip it with slice. And now you're coming in and they can chip it low to your feet. And if you don't split step, which is another idea, which we'll talk about, now you're dealing with a ball at your feet. You're actually better off ripping it fast to their forehand. I'm not saying you should, I'm saying this is the concept. You want to know about your opponent and get a sense of which side of their body, forehand or backhand, do they hit higher over the net. And so if they hit higher over the net on this side of their body, let's say it's their forehand, but they got like kind of like a full Western, they kind of arc it, it might actually behoove you to then come in on that side, and then you get a higher ball. So approach to the side where you have an idea of, hey, they tend to hit higher over the net, so that's where I'm going to hit my approach. Now, Val, you hit the ball low over the net. You hit the ball to the side where you feel like they tend to hit higher. Now, the most important time to split step after your approach and you're going to the net. Look, you should split step almost every single time your opponent hits the ball. But there is no time as important than when you're going to the net. If you serve and forget to split step after your serve, it's okay. If you don't split step on a return of serve, I mean, all of those are critically important, or not, both of those are critically important during a rally. But if I just say on a scale of 1 to 10, those are all like 9.5s, right? Really important. But there is a 10. In my experience and in my opinion, the single most important time to split step as your opponent hits the ball is when you're going to the net. because the need to move laterally, adjust to a half volley, run back and get a lob that's going over your head, it is critical. So after you hit that strong low shot to the side where you feel like they're going to hit higher, you're going to take 2 or 3 steps and then split step. You're not going to take 6 steps. You're not going to try to just like barrel in to get up, because even if they hit the ball kind of close to you, there's no way to change direction. You ever driven your car too fast around a corner? You make a wide turn, right? So you have to split step every single time your opponent hits the ball. And the most important time to do that is when you're going to net. Now, let's talk about this, Val. Uh, I talked about this at the beginning. When you're hitting a volley in singles, high volleys, you either hit down the line or sharp cross court. Don't hit them to the middle or deep cross court. Don't do that. Hit either down the line, because you can wrong foot them, right? You can wrong foot them and they're going to the middle and you hit here, or you hit sharp angle. But if you have a low volley, low volleys in singles should go down the line. Keep your opponent in front of you. It's a shorter distance to then for you to bisect where they can go. But those are really important tips that are going to help you to attack. You don't want to go in, hit the ball, and retreat. So get in, see if you can play the ball near the peak, get up and so you can drive it, not have to lift it. Aim low, hit to the side where they hit higher. Make sure you come in and split step, which the split step is around the service line. Like you hit your approach shot from here, you'll get 2 or 3 steps, and that's the service line. That's where you split step. The second volley is hit from close to the net. The first volley is just in front of the service line typically, and then the second volley is closer. But those are tips that are really going to help you. Thanks for we're up to 21 likes. Thank you so much. Uh, hey Ryan, tennis engineer. Hey Ryan, love your content. What's the best grip to hold on return of serve? Are you a one-hander or two-hander, tennis engineer? I want solid contact on both sides without favoring one side and being unprepared on the other. Uh, I don't know. It sounds like you're a one-handed backhand. That to me, that's a one-hander's question, but we'll see. Are you tennis engineer? Are you a one-hander or two-hander? I'd be interested to. I don't know if he's still on. Oh, you are a two-hander. Well, I'm actually really excited to hear that. Look, I don't want you using one grip. I don't want you using one grip. It's just not going to be in your best interest. So here's what you want to do: your forehand grip on your bottom hand, your backhand grip on your top hand, elbows out, and if you need to, stand farther back. One uh, idea people have is if they're struggling with the speed of the serve, they think like shorten the swing or take it, or like I've had people say when I'm really struggling with if somebody's blasting serves, I like to move in and try to take it early. I don't know, it just like doesn't make a lot of sense. I would much rather you say, you know what, I'm going to stand way back. And it's not like your opponents are serving and volleying anyway. And when you stand farther back, then you actually get a real cut at the ball. And what I do, I love my return of serve. I love it. I've always loved returning serve. You want to have your elbows out away from you, both hands on the grip. And when the ball comes to your backhand, you change the grip to the bottom hand. The top hand's already ready for a backhand. And if it's a forehand, you just let go. If it's a backhand, you change the grip while prepping the racket and then you hit. So I would not try a one grip system and like for both. Like it's not you're a two-hander, you want to return serve like a two-hander. Having one grip for both, that's more of a one-hander's mentality, just because the one-hander isn't great at returns because the one-hander needs a bigger swing typically to get the power because they're using their back muscles, where on a two-hander we're using our chest, and our chest is typically stronger than our back. So the one-hander needs a bigger swing and they need to elongate the swing to get some racket speed and build up racket speed. Where two-handers, we can just use our chest and kind of muscle the ball back. So you want to have a two-hander mindset. So I would go with a grip change between the forehand and backhand. Good question. All right, all right, all right. Let's go back to some of the questions again. Um, Yeah, Val, I like that. 1 to 2 feet over the net. Yeah, I would say one. Yeah, one is good. Slice if the ball is low. Drive if the ball is high. Yep, I love it. Hey Ryan, why does it look like the pros have a continuous swing on their backhands, but have a pause at the bottom of their forehand? Ah, I love it. Really love it. Okay, so um, about a year and a half ago, maybe. Yeah, always gets me. Former college player, and this thing always tripped me up. Yeah, you're only going to get better at stuff you practice. Um, you know what you might want to do is when you watch the Australian Open, just sit on your couch and have your racket in your hand and be the person who's returning, like at the bottom of the screen, who's returning serve. And when the ball comes to the backhand, quick change the grip and then go start in the forehand. And if it goes to the forehand, just turn like this. If it goes to the backhand, quick change. And I would just use the fact that you're watching the Aussie Open, sitting in your chair. You know, you got a nice cold one right here, and you're just changing the grip, and you just go like that. If it goes to backhand, and you can just train yourself to see how quickly you can make the change between forehand and backhand. All right, let's talk about why do the pros look like they pause at the bottom of the swing? Okay, so there is a difference. This might be some content that is going to blow your mind. So get ready. There is a difference in the swing timing between a forehand and backhand, between the forehand and the backhand. By the way, you're going to want to hit the like button if you haven't already on this. About, I, don't know, I would say about 2 years ago, I made a video on this exact idea for Felix Auger-Aliassime, and it was the timing of his forehand versus the backhand. So on the forehand, you drop earlier, and on the backhand, you drop later. And it has to do with the fact that the power source on the forehand is different than on the backhand because on the forehand you can separate this front side and really get this side to come through. On the backhand, whether it's a one-hander or a two-hander, there's no separation. How do you separate? Because your front arm is on the racket, so you can't separate because when you pull through, the racket comes through. So on the forehand, they will drop and it almost looks like they're here and then boom, and they rip it. And when they're at the bottom of the swing on the forehand, they are not pausing. They're just not going as fast as on the backhand. What I saw with Felix, and I'll demonstrate it this way, is with the Felix backhand, and I know he lost, but like, look, we're talking about one of the best players in the world. You got 8 billion people, and he's like, one of the top players in the world. What you notice, and this is with all pros, when the ball peaks, that's around the time they drop and swing. The time that passes from the beginning or the initiation of the drop to contact is very short because they use being late to gain racket speed. If you've ever been late to work, you or late to the dentist, you know you got to drive fast, right? Distance over time. So you've got to go really fast to make up for the fact that you're late. But you can actually flip that and on a backhand and say, you know what? I'm going to swing fast by being late. So on the backhand, their pause is up here, and then down and hit. And they produce that racket speed by being late. But on the forehand, as the racket drops, they kind of load up and they start clearing this front shoulder, this front arm that clears the body, turns the shoulders, turns the hips, and now the power is from here to the ball. It's down and boom, and they get shot out of a cannon from here to there rather than on the backhand from here and then down and then to the contact. It has to do with the fact that the forehand, the power on a forehand comes from the separation of the body going first and the racket trying to catch up. Where on the backhand, you can't have the body go first because the front shoulder is on. See, on a forehand, your front shoulder is not on the racket. So you can clear it and then the racket comes through. That's why they can typically hit the ball harder on their forehand because you can get that body separation and the racket lags and catches up. But on the backhand, you have to wait. So by the time the racket goes down, it's just a blur at the bottom of the swing. Where on the forehand, they'll load up, they'll drop, and then they'll be it will not be paused, but it looks like they're pausing compared to the backhand. And that's why the timing is different on the forehand and backhand, and why it looks like they pause at the bottom of the swing. That was one of the most enjoyable questions I have answered on a live stream in 6 months. That was an incredible question. So I hope the answer did it justice. Position of one-handed backhand takes a lot of time. Yeah, you used to be fast with legs too. Oh, you need to be fast with your legs too. Oh, are you talking about this topic, Lart? Are you talking about this topic? What do you think of the 16-second cure? Do you teach it? Are you talking about the Jorge Capistani? Is that what you're talking about? Anything from Jorge is awesome, and I've gone through that. And so the 16-second cure is the idea of the time in between the points. I am not an expert on it. I couldn't just start teaching it to someone. It's definitely something that I need to become more versed in understanding it. But if you're talking about Jorge Capistani, yeah, it's between points. Yep. Yeah. Look, yeah, the mental side. Yep. To and I understand, but in order to have a 16-second cure in between the points, I think you really have to understand what needs to happen during the points, which is what I teach. Otherwise, you don't know what to cure, and you don't know why you lost. I'm just answering questions here really quickly. We have 14 minutes left. You have 14 minutes left to click the link, the first link. It'll say BOGO, like buy one, get one free Zoom lessons, in the description for the next 14 minutes. And then when the live stream ends, then it's over. I'm going to quick change it on my laptop right here. If you want me to personally teach you, if you want me to analyze your matches, if you want me to sit down with you live on Zoom and share on my screen your serve versus Paracard, your forehand versus Alcaraz, whatever, or Joao, right? Is it Finesca? I forget his last name already. But if you want me to put you side by side with the pros and teach you what you're doing correctly, the changes you need to make in order to get power, spin, confidence, control, and everything, then for it's probably the next 13 minutes, click the first link in the description. Typically, to meet with me for about an hour, a little less than an hour, it's $150. I record the whole thing. You get a written transcript of the entire lesson so that you can read it or watch it. You get it forever. I had somebody I was talking to on Instagram Live today, and he said he still watches his lesson I did on his serve, which he said is so much better, that I did back in 2020, a Zoom lesson I did back for him back then. And he still watches it from time to time, and it helps him. You never get a recording of your on-court lessons. On-court lessons, I'm sorry, are so overrated. Even my own on-court lessons were so overrated because it's not recorded. The person can't learn that much because they have to execute. The Zoom lesson is 10 times more valuable than an on-court lesson. I promise you. And that's speaking to someone who had taught on-court for 24 years. And the Zoom lesson is so much better. So you got about 12 minutes left to grab that deal. All right, let's see here. Can you repost the link? It's in the description. It's the first link in the description. What software do you use for the slow-mo and the timer? So I use Coach's Eye. Coach's Eye is no longer available. I'm grandfathered in, right? Grandfathered in. So Coach's Eye is the app that allows me to do the side-by-side, put the timer on. It's starting to get some hiccups in it because they haven't updated the app in like 2.5 years. So every time a new iOS comes out, it gets a little funkier. But there are apps that you can get that do the same thing. One of which is On Form, like a light switch on and off, right? On Form, like what's your form look like? On Form. Check it out. And then you can just look up like sports analysis app in the App Store, and you can see what they have available. All right, somebody just wrote how to beat a pusher. Well, here's what a pusher doesn't like, right? You have to think about what pushers like. Pushers like staying behind the baseline and just frustrating the heck out of you. See, there are 3 ways to play singles. You can play like at any given time, three situations are occurring during the rally, right? Not the serve or the return, but during the rally. You're either both back, you're up, or your opponent's up. So pushers love to be in this situation. And pushers often don't mind having you come up. They really don't because they'll just lob the heck out of it. And because people always think, oh, I'm going to go forward on a pusher. Here's what I want you to do if you're playing a pusher: right off of their serve, hit short immediately. Not a drop shot. You're not trying to win the point. Just hit short and bring them up. Because guess what happens when they don't come? I'm sorry. Guess what happens when they come up? They're no longer a pusher. When they come up, they're no longer a pusher. They're only a pusher when they are behind the baseline. So bring them up to the net. And now, instead of being a pusher, they are a fish out of water. And now all of a sudden, they're really going to be uncomfortable. And then when they're up, you don't pass them. You just hit the ball right to them. Hit it low, hit it really high, and watch those eagles fly. No, you're going to hit the ball right to them and make them have to volley. Pushers, if pushers were great at the net, they wouldn't be pushers. They would be all court players and they come to the net. They're a pusher because they have an opportunity to step inside the court, they hit it back, and then they retreat. So they're just pushing the ball over the net, not taking control of the point and just waiting for you to miss. So hit short on purpose against a pusher to pull them in. If you pull them in and they start going back, well, then you just blast it. And now they're in no man's land and they're really frustrated. And if they do come in, you make them volley. And pushers haven't volleyed since last April. So you're good. One other thing that you can do against a pusher is stand closer to the baseline. I know it's easy to kind of stand back. Stand up. Stand up near the baseline, and it just gives them less time to get to the ball. It also does create more angle, and you can hit through the court. When we stand behind the baseline, that's when we tend to arc the ball. So when you play a pusher, stand closer to the baseline throughout the point. All right. Uh-oh. We got 9 minutes. You have 9 minutes to get buy one, get one free Zoom lessons. Click the first link in the description in order to get it. All right, let's see what we got here. Can a pusher make a super drop shot? Do you mean run it down? Yeah. Can they hit a great drop shot? Probably not. They're not good. You can only be good at something that you do a lot, right? You can only be good at something you practice. Pushers are not typically great at drop shots. And even if you hit short, then you step inside the court. And then when they hit the drop shot, you're good. Trust me, that problem of, oh, they are really good at drop shots is a much better problem to deal with than they're 10 feet behind the baseline, you're 10 feet behind the baseline, and you're just rallying back and forth and you're late for dinner because your match lasted 6 hours. At Dr. Evo, at contact, should the racket be vertical? Yes and no. Depends on your racket speed. That's a good question. Depends on your racket speed. When you're swinging slower, your racket will have to be straight up and down. But if you're someone who can swing really fast, instead of having your racket straight up and down, you can have your racket up to 10 degrees closed. But you don't do this as you hit. You're not closing over the ball. You just keep the racket at that angle. The goal is that the face of the racket never changes. And you just make this move right here from low to high. So, yes, for should it be perpendicular? Should it be straight up and down? Yeah. Can it be slightly closed? Yeah. It depends on how fast you're swinging. Either one will be fine. Just realize that if your racket is straight up and down and you swing really fast, the drag will pull the ball up and the ball might go long if you're swinging really fast. That's why it's important that you do tilt it down. It's not like you can hit the ball forever, right? You only have 78 feet to keep the ball in. Yep. Wow. Can you give a little breakdown of his? I did not watch the match. I did not watch the match. I've not seen him hit one ball. How do I add spin to flat shots? All right, Ram. And by the way, this is going to be the last question that I answer. Thank you so much for being here. I had so much fun. If you enjoyed these lives, make sure you hit the like button. And if you want me to personally coach you and get two for the price of one Zoom lessons, where I sit down on my laptop, I meet you, get to know you, and I share my screen and I show you how you're playing and you tell me, this is a guy I can never beat. I'll teach you how to beat him. Send me the footage. I will sit down with you, share my screen, and I'll draw on the screen like John Madden from the old days of football, right? And I will teach you how to beat your toughest opponents. Singles, doubles, we go over footwork, technique, anything you want to work on, I will show you. And the Zoom private lesson is absolutely the best tennis lesson in the world. You can get two for the price of one for the next 6 minutes. All right. How do I add spin? Great question. Tennis is an edge sport. Oh, you can't find the link? What do you mean you can't find the link? You can't find the link in the description? Well, guess what? Guess what I'm going to do? Guess what I'm going to do? This is what I want you to do. If you go to give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab my computer. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab my computer. I'm going to take my earbud out. Right back. Give me 1 second. I'll fix this. All right. Thank you for staying patient. Hey, we didn't lose a lot of people. That's surprising. All right, what is going on here? We'll go to content. So you don't see a description in this video. That's interesting. Okay, well, guess what I'm going to do? I guess I'm keeping this sale going on a little bit longer. I apologize. So here's what I want you to do. It's very simple. You know my website, 2MinuteTennis.net, right? This is Ryan Reedy from 2MinuteTennis.net. Say it with me. You got this. Go to 2MinuteTennis.net. Create your free account, right? Just like get started on the top right. Name, email, so I can tell you like if an upcoming free live stream is happening or whatever. And then go to products. Yes, yeah. That's it. Yeah, so you do have it. You do have it. You saw it. Yep. Yeah, is there a link? There should be a link after that. I'm looking at it right now. Yep. You see it. Yay, you see it. Can you post it, Lart? Can you post that link? I can't. I don't think I can. I don't know if I can, but I don't think I can. What is this? Nope. So I can't post. Or maybe I can this way. Can I do it this way? But hopefully you can post the link. Yeah. Lart sees it. Yeah, Ocean sees it. Good. Ocean Bronze, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so since you guys can see it, you got 3 minutes because I got to get off off the live stream in about 3 minutes. But I want to answer the question about how to hit spin, okay? So thank you for that. I apologize for losing a couple minutes. So I'll stay on for 2 extra minutes. I'm here for 4 minutes. Tennis is an edge sport. And because of that, when I try it, but it's give me your YouTube link. I tried again. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to fix it. So don't worry about it. I'll do this again. I'll keep the sale going on overnight. How about that? Tennis is an edge sport. So what you want to do is whenever you're hitting flat, flat means your strings are facing the same direction you're swinging, right? So if I do this, I'm not going to get any spin because my strings are facing up and my racket's traveling up like this, right? If I want to hit spin, I got to go this way. My strings are facing up, but my racket's traveling to the side, and that spins the ball. So tennis is an edge sport because we get spin when our strings face in one direction and the racket travels in a different direction. So if you want to hit a serve with spin, learn to hit the ball with the edge of the racket. And then you, instead of hitting the edge, you slide like this along the ball. Just make sure that you swing to the side of the court, because if you swing towards the court, or towards your target, the ball's going to go to the side. So you want to swing off to the side. Don't, on your serve, don't swing towards your target. You don't want to swing towards your target, otherwise you'll be forced to use a forehand grip with a waiter's tray. So to change your grip, you got to swing off to the side. The ball goes in a different direction, which is toward the target. But we can also use this concept on a forehand or backhand. So if you're someone who hits flat ground strokes, here's what I want you to do. Develop the ability to hit the south pole of the ball with the top edge of the racket. So turn, drop, and hit the south pole of the ball with the top frame of the racket. The reason that makes all the difference is because it gets your strings to face forward, but now your racket's traveling up, allowing you to rotate. Oh, Lewis just grabbed it. Lewis, thank you, buddy. So Lewis is grabbing some lessons right now. And you got 3 minutes, everybody. So I just saw Lewis grab them. But here's the idea. When you swing low to high, you'll try to hit the edge, but guess what? You'll spin it like this. You'll go from low to high, and the ball spins because you won't actually hit the edge. You'll miss the edge, and you'll hit the strings going from low to high. So if you're someone who hits flat, try hitting the ball with the edge of your racket, whether it's on the serve, whether it's on the forehand, whether it's on the backhand, and not like this way, but coming underneath the ball like this, so that your racket's more straight up and down as you do it. That'll spin the ball, and you'll get more topspin than you ever have. So thank you so much. I usually go live on Instagram. So I go live every day on Instagram around 3:30 New York City time. So make sure that in the afternoon, or depending on where you are in the world, that you definitely meet up with me on Instagram. I go live while I'm picking up my kids from school for about 20 minutes. I answer questions. I'm in my car, but I do it every day. It's super fun on weekdays, on school days. And I'm going to make sure I start going live on YouTube as well. Obviously, I have to post on YouTube, but this is a really great way for me to give you some information that's going to help you out. So, all right, everybody, you got 1 minute. Go to 2MinuteTennis.net. Get your BOGO, buy one, get one free Zoom private lessons. I'm going to go in right now into my back office and change the price back so that there are not any buy one, get one. Wait, Ryan really wanted to pick a lesson, but unable, time running out. All right, Dr. Evo, I am giving you 10 minutes. Go to 2MinuteTennis.net. And if you want me to analyze your matches, singles, doubles, if there's an opponent who you always lose to, I will teach you how to beat them. I'll get to know you. We'll talk on Zoom. I'll share my screen. I'll write a ton of notes. I cannot wait. If you want me to give you 10 more miles an hour on your serve, yeah, you got it, Dr. Evo. Go to 2MinuteTennis.net, and you can, so here, let me show you how to do it. In fact, I'll just show you how to do it. Look, here's my website, right? So you're going to create your free account, right? Create your free account when you go onto the website. And when you get into where the programs are, then, right, you're going here and you just go, oh, I'm going to go to the green area. And then you push that. And it's like, oh, have you taken a Zoom private lesson with Ryan in the past? No, I haven't. And then my ugly mug hops in there and then I start talking, yada, yada. And then you can grab them right there. So go to the green area and then learn about them. And then you can grab your BOGO lessons, but you got 10 minutes. So, all right, everyone, thank you. This has been a blast. I'm definitely going to do this more often, and you got this.